Hey, what's up guys? It's Andrew Santowski. I'm back with another UFC prediction video. This time UFC Fight Night, Usman versus Buckley. This event goes down in about 3 weeks. Saturday, June 14th, 2025. Prelims begin at 7 p.m. It's going down from Atlanta, Georgia. So let's get into it, guys. First fight up on the card, Phil Rowe against Loosa. Both these guys are on losing streaks. Doesn't seem like I've seen Phil Rowe fight in a little bit. 2-fight losing streak. Hasn't fought in a year. They lost to Jake Matthews by decision. Lost to Neil Magny before that. Just nothing's really mounted for Phil Rowe in his UFC career. He's got a huge height and reach advantage at welterweight, but doesn't really come into play. Loosa, 31 years old, 1-fight losing streak, lost to Gabriel Bonfim. No contest against Brian Battle, but he was on his way to losing that. And I think I'm going to probably side with Loosa here. I don't know if we have odds for this fight yet. Since this was a recently announced fight. No, we don't. But I'm going to side with Loosa. Charles Jourdain against Ricky Simon. Wow, great fight. And this is on the prelims. This will be on the main card of some cards, but it's on the prelims. Ricky Simon finally got a much-needed win in his last outing. Picked up a win over Javid Basharat. Good for him. I think Basharat's lost a couple straight now, so he picked up that win back in February. Charles Jourdain, he dropped down to bantamweight, obviously a former 145-pounder for a while. Beat Victor Henry in his last outing in his bantamweight debut. Again, Gene Silva beat him at featherweight, drops down to bantamweight. So I think I'm going to side with Simone here. Again, I don't think we have odds for this fight, but I'm going to side with Ricky Simon. But again, it should be a really interesting fight. Cody Durden against Jose Ochoa. Ochoa, don't really know much about him. 1-fight losing streak, 24 years old. So he's going to be the younger fighter here. Lost to Lonnie or Kavanaugh. We know how good Kavanaugh is. I think Kavanaugh was a big favorite in that fight. He's got a lot of finishes on his record in the first round. So it's going to be concerning if he can't get Durden out of there. And Durden is a pretty durable fighter. And plus, Durden's going to be fighting in his home state of Georgia. I think that's where he trains out of. 34 years old, so he's 10 years the senior to Ochoa. 1-fight losing streak. This guy fights often. He fights a lot too, man. He's always game to fight. Lost to Joshua Van by unanimous decision. Beat Matt Schnell prior to that. Again, he was beating Bruno Silva, but Bruno Silva ended up coming back and beating him. But I'm gonna side with Durden here. Edmund Shabazian against Andre Petroski. Man, Petroski's been on a roll here. And, they're giving him a test up in competition here. 3-fight winning streak, 33 years old. This guy trains with, out there in Philly. You know where Paul Felder used to train. He trains with Sean Brady and those guys over there, Joe Pyfer. But coming off a win over Rudolph Vieira, which was really impressive, because I know I did pick Vieira in that fight, beat Dylan Buck and Josh Fram. So he's handling everybody he's supposed to handle. And they're giving him a test up in competition here in Edmund Shabazian. The UFC's trying to baby this guy, get him some wins. But again, this guy, he'll show flashes of having a great first round. And then, like you seen in the Meerschaert fight, Meerschaert, takes him down in the second. That was a nice back and forth scrap, and Meerschaert ended up getting a submission there. Again, he is coming off a win over Dylan Bucka, but, Petroski's beat him as well. No surprise there. And it seemed like Bucka, tagged him a couple times, but I'm gonna side with Petroski here. Again, I can't fault anybody for taking Shabazian, and I definitely understand it. But I'm gonna side with Petroski here. So next fight up, Jamie Lynn Horth against Teresa Bleda. Bleda She's from the Czech Republic, 1-fight winning streak. I remember her on the Contender Series. I know she's lost in the UFC before. Lost to Natalia Silva, but we know how good Silva is. I mean, she's probably on the verge of fighting for the next... Probably on the verge of fighting for the next belt. With that win over Grasso. She's probably next for Valentina. If Zhang moves up, then maybe they give it to Zhang, obviously. But Bleda's coming off a win over Gabriel Fernandez. Props to her there. Fernandez is a good fighter. Jamie Lynn Horth, 1-fight losing streak, 35 years old, so she's an older fighter. Coming off a loss to Miranda Maverick. We know how good Maverick is. Beat Ivana Petrovich before that. Lost to Veronica Hardy. Beat Haley Cowan before that. So this should be a good fight. I think I'm going to go with the younger fighter. I think I'm going to go with Bleda. Again, I know there are odds out for this fight. Minus 190 for Bleda, so obviously I would never lay that. It's a women's mixed martial arts fight. Horth has fought a lot of these tough girls, and they've gone to split decisions, so I cannot fault anybody for taking Horth here. I don't think I'm going to side with Bleda. Alonzo Menafield against Umar Sy. And it finally seems like the UFC is going to match Menafield up with, you know, a serious prospect, man. Menafield, he's kind of been the guy kind of getting the fights that the UFC wants to win, but he's 37 years old. You know, he's coming off a split decision over Julius Walker, but again, he took a couple losses to Olberg and Mirzakhanov. And, you know, two good guys. I mean, Olberg's right up there for title contention right now. Nice wins over Jacoby and Krupp before that. I mean, so he's handled his business against some guys, man. He's made a better career than what I thought he would. 37 years old. Again, he's known for his power. And Omar Sy, French prospect here. 11-fight winning streak. 29 years old. Beat Da-Won Jung by unanimous decision back in September. Beat Tokos before that. So he's been in the UFC for a year now. And I'm going to side with C here. Again, Menafield's got the UFC experience, but if we look at the odds here, we're going to see C minus 400. I'm going to side with C here. Paul Craig against Rudolph Bellato. Again, this fight was scheduled for an event in May, but medical concerns with Bellato pushed this off. And I think I'm still going to side with him here, man. I mean, I do think Paul Craig's probably better suited for light heavyweight. Guys are a little slower up there. He doesn't have to cut that weight. But again, Bellato's known for his striking. Paul Craig's known for his grappling. So again, who can implement what they want to do in this fight? 3-fight losing streak, 37 years old. Paul Craig's game, though. So nothing will surprise me in this fight. I am going to side with Bellato. But again, nothing will surprise me. So I'm going to side with him here. Cody Garbrandt against Ronnie Barcelos. Let's see if we got odds for this fight. No, we don't yet. And, man, I mean, I am glad to see Cody back, for sure. It's always exciting seeing him in the cage. But I think I am going to side with Ronnie Barcelos here, man. Cody Garbrandt, I don't think he's fought since that Davison fight. 1-fight losing streak. Again, hasn't fought since April of 2024. 33 years old. Man, this guy, I just remember when he made his debut, you know, back in, what, January of 2015? Is that when he made his debut? Yeah, it was. Time has been so long, man. So he's been in the UFC 10 years, man, but it feels like he hasn't had his bantamweight belt in 10 years. You know, and again, this guy was once a serious prospect. He was a champion, but I think those days are long gone, man. He just doesn't fight often enough. I don't know where his motivation is. He kind of seems small for the division. You know, and there's some serious... I mean, you look at the guys in the bantamweight division now, and it's like, man, this guy, he would never get in the top 5, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I did think he stood a good chance to beat Davison, but Davison, he's nobody in the bantamweight division. You know, and Ronnie Barcelos, he got a win in his last fight. You know, I thought this guy might have been washed up, but he's on a 2-fight winning streak. 38 years old. Yeah, he's older than Cody, but I don't really think that's gonna matter. Beat Peyton Talbot. He beat the prospect, which was surprising to me. I mean, Peyton Talbot's looked amazing in his fights. He beat Peyton Talbot, beat Christian Quinones. Again, there was a couple fights where I thought maybe he was done. Lost to Kyler Phillips and Umar, but we know Umar's number 2, number 3 in the world at bantamweight. Kyler Phillips, he just, you know, he lost to Rob Font, but he's up there as well. I mean, he's, you know, in the top 15. So, again, I think I am on the side with Barcelos here. Barcelos is the submission threat. He's got good hands. And, you know, I don't really think Cody's going to be able to keep him off him. So, I'm going to side with Barcelos. Michael Chiesa against Court McGee. UFC kind of babying Chiesa here, I would say. He's kind of getting these tailor-made matchups, which is, you know, again, guy's 37 years old. He's not going to be fighting for a title anytime soon. 2-fight winning streak. Obviously commentates for the UFC as well. Coming off wins over Max Griffin and Tony Ferguson. And yeah, he's looked good. He's looked good in those fights. Again, Court McGee, I think he picked up a much needed win in his last fighting. He's still fighting, man. Hey, this is another UFC vet. Old school. I mean, he's been in the UFC since 2010, 2009. So, again, he picked up a win over Tim Means, which is surprising because, you know, Tim Means is a vet as well. But I thought, you know, that would have been a fight Tim Means would have won. But, again, credit to Court McGee. This guy's shown some real resilience over his UFC career. He's had a good career, 75-inch reach, 40 years old. I'm going to side with Mike Chiesa here. But, again, you got 2 older guys. Nothing's going to shock me here. Looking at the betting odds, obviously the odds kind of reflect who I'm picking here. Minus 300 for Chiesa. Again, that just seems really inflated. Can never trust Chiesa with a price tag like that, with all the losses, the fluke losses he's had, the submissions losses to Kevin Holland, Vicente Luque. He's been caught in numerous darts chokes. So again, can never trust a guy like that with my money. But minus 300 price tag. I am going to side with Chiesa here. Cody Brundage against Mansour Abdul-Malik. Again, some of the fights that Brundage has had, the UFC is not going to do this guy any favors. He's coming off a win over Julian Marquez. That was a great fight. You know, that might have gave him some favor back with the UFC, but this guy's pulled some numerous stunts out. Again, they've given him the prospects before. Bo Nickel beat Zach Reese in a fight that the UFC was probably setting him up to lose. Again, he should have lost the Malkoun fight. That was terrible how he got away with that win. Mansour Abdul-Malik, obviously a serious prospect here. 9-fight winning streak, 27 years old. Beat Nick Klein in the UFC fight night. Dusko Todorovic before that. So they're trying to build Abdul-Malik up by giving him Brundage. I'm going to side with Mansour Abdul-Malik. I know there's got to be betting odds for this. Yeah, he's a minus 450, so I am going to pick Malik. Co-main, Rose Namajunas against Miranda Maverick. I like it. I wouldn't mind seeing this. You know, obviously, I know a lot of people wouldn't like this, but I wouldn't mind seeing this 5-round fight, main event on a, you know, UFC fight night in the summer. Again, Rose has been staying active. I really give her props for that, because we've seen periods of serious inactivity from her, from what I can recall. And Miranda Maverick, good step up in competition for her. 4-fight winning streak, 27 years old. You know, so it's about time she got to step up. Seems like she's been fighting girls below her for a long time. Rose Namajunas, coming off that loss to Blanchfield. Beat Cortez before that in the main event. Beat Amanda Ribas in the main event before that. Lost to Manon Fiorot in a co-main event. So again, she's fought a lot of people, man. Still only 32 years old, which is amazing, because Rose has been around in the UFC since 2014. So I am going to side with Rose here. Think she's a better fighter. But again, it won't surprise me if Maverick can get this done. Pick up a decision win here. She's probably going to be the bigger girl, but I think Rose is probably a little better well-rounded, especially on the feet. Rose is currently a minus 250. I'm going to side with Rose here. Next up, main event, Kamaru Usman against Joaquin Buckley. Again, I don't understand these betting odds. Buckley currently sitting as a minus 270. The comeback on Kamaru Usman plus 230. You would never see betting odds like that in a couple years ago. Yeah, Usman's been inactive, but guess what? He hasn't been taking that damage to his body either. His last fight was the, Kamaru Usman. He fought at middleweight October 2023. So yeah, he's got to cut the welterweight. Hasn't made welterweight since March of 2023. Don't know what this guy's looking like or training like. Again, he's on a 3-fight winning streak, but look who he's fought. Lost to the former champion, Leon Edwards, twice. Lost to Khamzat Chimaev, who is fighting for the middleweight belt next against Dricus du Plessis in August. He's had those couple great fights with Covington, which I thought were great fights. When he had the belt, beat Jorge Masvidal twice, Gilbert Burns. Hey, you know what? Those were who were in contention back then. Maybe not so much. I mean, Gilbert Burns definitely was in contention back then. Masvidal, you know what? He helped save a couple cards. I'm not mad at him at all, or the UFC at all, for giving those fights, man. He definitely saved that one fight in July of 2020, that main event. I mean, hey, he fought who the UFC put in front of him, man. And then he dethroned Tyrone Woodley for the belt back in 2019. So, again, all props to Usman, man. And Joaquin Buckley, man, he fought a very washed-up Colby Covington in his last fight. And then I thought Colby was having moments, too. I thought if that fight could have kept going and Colby could have implemented his wrestling, I thought Colby, could have picked up a couple rounds, man. Obviously, he did the damage to Colby, and he got that nasty cut on him, and obviously the ref stopped the fight. But, man, this is a severely watered-down version of Colby Covington than what we've seen in the past, man. So let's be honest here. Beat Stephen Thompson before that in a fight that was 1-1, and I thought possibly could have, maybe Buckley was winning that third round, so maybe Buckley was on his way to winning the decision. But I thought that was a close fight. Beat Ruzaboa before that. Ruzaboa, he couldn't stop the takedowns. But, I mean, this guy, he looks like a completely different fighter now that he's at welterweight. At middleweight, I did not think this guy had a UFC career, honestly. But, again, these betting odds are so disrespectful, man. I do look forward to betting Usman here, most likely. I think the value is clearly on Usman. Buckley shouldn't be a minus 270 over anybody. Yeah, especially in the top of this division. So I don't understand it. Unless Usman has not been training at all. I don't know. I just think the betting odds are so disrespectful to Usman, man. Usman put up a heck of a fight with Chimaev. So again, he's had plenty of time to rest, for better or worse. I'm going to side with Usman here. The plus 230 value is just too much to pass up for me. So my pick will be Kamaru Usman. Again, my picks: Usman, Namajunas, Abdul-Malik, Chiesa, Barcelos, Bellato, Bleda, Petroski, Durden, Simon, and Loosa.